Hola clase, ¿cómo están ustedes? Espero que todos estén bien. Hi class, how are you? I hope that everyone's doing well. En este video voy a hablar de la unidad 4 y es el primer video en una serie de 3 que habla de unidad 4. So in this first one, we'll talk about the verb estar, also vocabulario para la familia. And actually, we'll go ahead and start with that. And so if you want to go to your textbook, I'll put it up on the screen as well. But as we're getting there, I just want to help quell some concerns about when things are due. Now, yeah, this was last week that Unit 3 was due, but you can still turn it in. You actually have until the 13th of Mayo, 13th of May to turn things in. I have been behind, so I don't expect that everyone else is up to date. Same with Unidad 4. Any of the prácticas, some say that they're due today, which is the day I'm making this video, el primero de mayo. You have time. Although it will say that it's late, I won't count it as late. And that pretty much goes for anything this semester. There is an end to the semester, so you don't want to wait till the 12th or the 11th to try to start catching up. You want to start now if you can. I am pressing my way through grading. It's very slow going, but I am going to get there. I never have not gotten there, so we'll get there. So you see here that I have left some things on the list of prácticas, but they're not really due. They are extra credit. So what does that mean if you don't do them? If you don't do them, I won't count it as 0. I'll just give you the 5 points or 10 points or however many, 7 points or however many are allowed for that activity. But if you do them anyway, I'll give you extra credit. Okay, so you can skip these. Why is that? I will let you know in un momento. So let's go to the libro de texto, and we're at Unidad 4. And so I'm going to go back to the beginning of the unit, which talks about lots of things. One of the things it talks about is miembros de la familia, everyone's favorite topic, right? One of our favorite topics, right? We're talking about the verb estar, and we're talking about communicating things that happen in the moment, which also uses the verb estar. So let's jump right to it. I'm going to go through the vocabulario para la familia. You can repeat along with me if you like. ¿Listos? El padre o papá, la madre o mamá, el hijo, la hija, el hermano, la hermana, el esposo, la esposa. Of course, the most important parts of pronunciación are the vocales, right? And I want to say a word about hijo, hija, son, daughter. This really is not a difficult word if you think about it. If you need to block out the H by putting your hand over it or just put your hand over your eye, whatever you have to do. The H, it's the only letter in Espanol that I feel like doesn't make any sense. Why is it there? It sounds like this. Right, silence. And so the first sound is E. So when you say this word, hijo, hija, you think of son or daughter. Hopefully it's a good thought for you. Give a smile as big as you can. Hijo, hija. And then you got to have some saliva to make the J sound. Hijo, hija. The H sound, it just doesn't exist. Same with hermano. Starts with the A as an A. Hermano, and with hermana, hermana. Okay, so let's go on. El abuelo, la abuela. El sobrino, la sobrina. El tío, la tía. El nieto, la nieta. El primo, la prima. El pariente, la mascota. So a couple of things about these last two. El pariente, it looks like what in English? Maybe you're thinking parent. Right, that's where we get the word from. And in English, it means padres. Yeah, los padres, the parents. Another false cognate, padres, it can be parents, right? Not just fathers. So pariente is just really general in Espanol, relative, right? Mascota, true cognate, that makes sense, right? Because mascotas are usually animals, at least in Los Estados Unidos, right? In the United States. Okay, so that's one way to really remember that. Your posesivos, you're going to use those when you're talking about your familia, of course. So you want to practice pronunciation. Usually nuestro, nuestra, vuestro, vuestra, it's a sticking point. But just remember one is uh, N, and the other is B, as in Victor. And they're not no. It looks like nosotros, but it's nu, right? And wu, right? And you just have to remember the gender for those. Nuestro amigo, nuestra amiga, nuestros hermanos, nuestras hermanas. Same with vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras. And su, it's going to depend on just the number that you're referring to. Here's some vocabulario suplemental for familia. ¿Listos? El cuñado, la cuñada, el padrastro, la madrastra, el suegro, la suegra, el yerno, la nuera, el hijo único, la hija única. Okay, as you're going through the practicas, it's okay to say these really slowly, right? As much time as it gives you. Of course, your posesivos are going to go before the vocabulary, before the family member name. Nuestra familia, su familia, nuestros abuelos, sus abuelos. Gender and number really matter, especially with nuestro, nuestra, vuestro, vuestra. And just a reminder that no apostrophes in español, no apostrophes. Apostrophe is the word I made up because the word just doesn't exist in español. We use de in lugar de los apóstrofes. So if we wanted to say Jeff's house, we would say la casa de Jeff, right? Or la casa de él. Sarah's house, la casa de Sara, right? And so forth. So let's move on to talking about the verb estar, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Estar in English is to be. But don't we already have a verb for to be, and it's ser, right? Exactamente. So there's a innate being, and then there's a conditional being. There's a permanent being, and there's a conditional, temporal being. Estar is the conditional or temporal being. So let's look at the conjugations, and then we'll see where we use them or why we use the verb estar. ¿Listos? Yo estoy, tú estás, usted, él, ella está. So remember, usted, there's a big old you there. Yeah, it's you. Okay, so we have nosotros estamos, vosotros estáis, ustedes están. Same for ellos y ellas están. So of course, all these verbos in español, they have 6 conjugations, and you can just go through and make a little bit of a rhyme. I always like to do triplets. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. So same with verbs, any verb in español. Soy, eres, es, somos, soy, son. But with this one, which ones do not have acentos? It's the first person conjugations, right? Estoy and estamos. All the other ones have acentos. That's one way you can think about which ones need acentos. You're talking about yourself, no acento. Talking about someone else, acento, at least for the verb estar. So when people ask, ¿Cómo estás? You've learned to say bien, but now you can say estoy bien. But can you go beyond saying I'm well? By the way, bien is well, not good. It's bueno or buena, but you would never answer estoy bueno. Yeah, that's just weird. You can find out about that later. But anyway, estoy bien. What else could you say? Estoy aburrido if you're male, or estoy aburrida if you're female. Here's some of the other ones you can repeat with me. Agobiado, agobiada. Cansado, cansada. Deprimido, deprimida. Emocionado, emocionada. Enfermo, enferma. Enojado, enojada. Feliz, contento, contenta. Alegre. Furioso, furiosa. Harto, harta. Remember, no H sound. Harto, harta. Irritado, irritada. Why am I spelling? Because that word begins with an E. Muerto, muerta. Nervioso, nerviosa. Ocupado, ocupada. Preocupado, preocupada. Triste. Now, wait a minute. One of these is not like the others, right? Muerto, muerta. Why is that a conditional temporal state? Maybe it has to do with creencias religiosas, creencias de fe. Maybe it has to do with faith beliefs or something like that. But muerto, muerta is usually used with the verb estar, right? So here's an example. ¿Cómo están tus padres? Pues mis padres están tristes. O ellos están tristes. ¿Por qué? Porque no visito en la Navidad. I don't visit for Christmas, right? Now, estar is also used for casado, casada, married, male or female, and divorciado or divorciada. Ser typically is used for being single or widowed. Soltero or soltera, viudo or viuda. Okay. So just some idiomatic things to know about the verb estar. So later on, I believe in la página 85, I have to type in 86, but in your book, it says 85. And we talk about the verb estar in the sense of expressing action that is happening in the moment. Now, I really don't spend a whole lot of time teaching this because students tend to find out how to use it on their own by whatever translation device or talking to someone. But the way it works is you use the verb estar and you add ando or yendo to the end of a verb, depending on if it's AR, ER, or IR. Here's an example. Ana está trabajando. Now the verb is trabajar. We take off AR, and then we add ando. Estoy pensando. Pensar happens to be a verbo AR, so we add ando to pense. Right? Mis amigos están saliendo. Salir is actually a verbo IR, SALIR, SALER. We take off the ER, we add yendo, and then we have están saliendo. But what students usually forget, and this is a tricky spot, I'm not going to really count these activities, but if you're wanting to do well on them, what students usually do is forget the verb estar, and they just go ana trabajando, which sounds just as bad as Anna working. So, thinking, my friend's leaving. We do that in English. It is still bad English, and it's just as bad in Espanol. There are some irregular ones, of course, and they are. Some of them are. Leer, it's not leyendo with the E as in English, leyendo as in Y. Creer, creyendo. Traer, trayendo. You will hear these often, especially from someone from Sudamerica, Chile or Argentina. They might say leyendo, creyendo, trayendo, oyendo. Yeah. I love that sound, but you may be thrown off if you're not ready for it. Other stem changers. We'll talk about stem changers next week, but here's some stem changers. Kind of halfway stem change. Decir, diciendo. Dormir, durmiendo. Morir, muriendo. Pedir, pidiendo. Repetir, repitiendo. Servir, sirviendo. Y vestir, vistiendo. So I do have a group of slides that I think are good to go through. I'll post them in the notes if they're not already in there. And so it just talks about how to use the verb estar with emotions, locations of things. Also with the present progressive. Now, here's the thing about the present progressive. The present progressive has to do with what's going on in the moment. And in English, we love to say ing. It's actually the gerund. It's the equivalent of the gerund in English. And we love to say, what are you doing? Not just right now, but in the future. But in Espanol, that doesn't make sense. So we could say in English, what are you doing for Mother's Day? Right? But in Espanol, if we say, ¿qué haces para, o qué estás haciendo para el Día de las Madres? What are you doing for Mother's Day? And technically, that really doesn't make sense because we can't jump into the future and start doing things on Mother's Day because it's like a whole week away from the date this video is being made. But we can't do that. If you can do that, let me know and we can work out some things. I want to make sure some things are in order in the future. But we really can't do that. We can just talk about now. ¿Qué haces ahora? ¿Qué estás haciendo en este momento? And so that's where students learn how to do it. They're like, I want to talk about what's going on later. But in that case, you would just need to use the formal or future formal or informal future to talk about the future, right? And we'll learn that later on. So you can go through these slides and learn more about the present progressive on your own because you're very well capable. You're innately prone to it, right? So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. There'll be more videos about Unidad 4, and I'm probably going to make them right after this. I'll be wearing the same shirt, and I hope it's helpful for you. Buena suerte y hasta luego.